For the past couple of days, people have asked me to talk about the suicide of Amanda Todd. And for those of you who don't know my personal history, I have a personal history in which I attempted suicide. I have a personal history where I seriously considered suicide. I have a personal history of self harming. And I have a lot of things in common with Amanda Todd. Not just having been cyberbullied, because I'm cyberbullied every day here on YouTube, here on the internet. I'm certainly will be cyberbullied in this very comment thread. But I've been bullied in person my whole life. Even very recently on a trip to Walmart, I had a couple of kids point and laugh at me. So I feel like I'm a good judge of character, and I feel like I have some insight on the Amanda Todd case, which I'd like to share with you today. If you're unfamiliar with the case, I'm going to link to two things. Number one, I'm going to link to ebombsworld.com where they have the Amanda Todd video without any commercial interruption. I think it's wrong to spread that video and then profit from it. Even though I'm probably going to have ads over here on the side of my video, but that's part of being a YouTube partner. I'm also going to link to the Wikipedia entry where you can read the transcript of her video, a summary, and some of the details of her case. Long story short, when she was young, she made the mistake of going on some online chat websites. She decided to flash. Whoever it was took a screen capture of that. A year later, they came into her life and tried to blackmail her by forcing her to perform a live show for him on webcam, or he'd send those pictures out. Apparently, she refused, so he did send those pictures out to her friends and her family and her school workers, and ultimately it turned her life upside down, which I presume it would for any young girl who got caught in the act of doing that. You know, there's no real shame. I mean, she was producing child pornography. I think it's a natural part of the human experience to want to share your body and share your nature, and I think it's a part of the human experience to want to be told that you're beautiful, or that you're accepted, or that you're loved. And the person whose role it was to do that instead turned it around and shamed her and tortured her. And ultimately it resulted in the police coming to her door in the middle of the night during Christmas break, explaining to her that those pictures were being circulated. He harassed her on Facebook again later in another year by posting those pictures on Facebook, that picture on Facebook, and again with a list of her names of friends and family. So the person here to begin with that's at blame is the person who has victimized her, the cyberbully. This guy is the worst kind of scum. Not only is he trafficking child pornography, not only is he just a terrible person, but he's actually harassing this girl to the point of developing psychosis. During her younger developmental years, he's picking on her and pushing her in a way that causes anxiety disorders. And those anxiety disorders manifest in a lot of different ways. Social anxiety, fear of leaving her home, fear of being around people, and eventually she becomes a self-harmer, which I did a fair amount of cutting when I was very young. I don't have any scars for it, or I'd show them to you, but I was very, very careful. I found safe ways to harm myself. I would grab a therapist told me one day to grab a piece of ice and squeeze it and hold it for as long as you can, and it would generate pain without doing any real damage. He also told me to wear a rubber band on my wrist, and whenever I felt like self-harming, to just simply pull it back and pluck it, and that would cause pain without doing any permanent damage. And I chose to go that route rather than leave scars. But Amanda in her video shows the scarification and the blood and then the cutting that she'd performed. And then to make matters worse, and I don't want to get the details here wrong, a young male, one of her peers, showed her some attention. He apparently invited her over to his home. They had some sort of sexual congress. That got out of her school, and it left her pretty much destroyed because there was a large confrontation at school, and she ended up going home after this and drinking bleach in an attempt to commit suicide. And then eventually she managed to succeed in taking her own life, but not after leaving us with this video, which has proven to be her legacy. So now that you know, let's talk about the individual aspects here. Amanda, I don't know what kind of home she came from. I don't know what her family was like. I can't find that information. I wanted to. But her parents, to some extent, failed her. I know they probably tried, and I know they probably did their best, but in the end, they weren't able to help her. I have to wonder what the Canadian police were doing, because it seems like when someone's threatening a minor, when someone's distributing child pornography, and they're doing it through Facebook, that seems fairly easy to track. But they didn't try to rescue her there either. I don't know if she was in therapy. I don't know if their parents insisted on getting her the help she needed or if they could provide it. I know she's Canadian, so it should have been available. It sounds like the teachers at her school and the school faculty managed to fail her. And you see a lot of the very, very common things here that you find with someone who's in such need and desire. So many cries for help in her story. And it really, really breaks my heart. Because she's a scenario, her scenario is one in which people had to turn a blind eye. They had to know what was going on. They heard about it. They knew something wasn't right. They knew that her problems were manifesting in physical and mental issues. And no one intervened, and no one helped, and no one tried to fix anything. And the degree of her cyberbullying, not just, hey, you're fat on YouTube, you're fat, but mailing people in her life, mailing people in her home, in her hometown, sending them private pictures. The kids, after she attempted suicide, saying things like, I hope she's dead, and she should try a different brand of bleach. Really? Like, how do those kids feel about themselves today? I hope awful. I really do. And now this is trending, and now she has national attention. And I hope, I don't believe in a heaven or a hell. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't think. And I hope that wherever she ended up, if there is anywhere, there's some consolation in knowing that we are discussing this, that the video is making the rounds, and as her mother said, it's helping people. Hopefully someone who watched this video and become aware of it and know. And I'll tell you that the one thing I think we all need to learn from this scenario is that we need to be careful about what we say and we do to people around us. Because my problems that led to me being a 500-pound man sitting in his apartment so many years waiting to die, a lot of those problems, they were my own personal issues. They were things that I dealt with that couldn't have been helped outside. But the people that did bully me, the people that did torture me, they made it a lot harder to recover from that stuff. And they make it even harder today. But more importantly, no one tried to intervene in the case of Amanda Todd. No one stepped in. No one saw the warning signs. No one tried to fix it. And, for the most part, if someone's truly determined to kill themselves, there's nothing you can do to fix it. There's nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing you can do to change it. If they're truly determined, they're done. That's it. And probably in her final days, Amanda was truly determined, clearly, because she succeeded. But that said, look at all those many, many cries for help that her parents could have heeded, that her school faculty members could have heeded, her friends, I guess, what friends? But I'll remind you that when someone in your life does pass this way, when they choose to take their own lives, it's not your responsibility, it's not your fault, you can't fix it, and you couldn't have stopped them. But the people that are alive today, the people that are around you today, intervene. Get involved, talk to them, help them. Maybe you can ease their pain. Maybe you can't keep them from pulling the trigger when the time comes. That's true. But maybe you can make their time between now and that moment a little bit easier. And at least you'll know when they're gone, you did your best, you tried. You were a friend to them, you fixed what you could, you helped what you could, and you gave them an opportunity to be happier than they would have been. So it's such a heartbreak. I can't tell you how many letters I get from viewers who've talked about suicide. I can't, and those numbers are increasing over and over and over again. And I just have to wonder what's happening. What's happening with you kids these days, with you young adults, with people my age? So many of us are just losing hope. Rest in peace, Amanda. We're sorry.